My husband ghosted me for 2 weeks, then it turns out he has borderline personality disorder. I don't know how to move forward. Seeking advice. To start off, I am not a doctor/psychologist, and he is going it for an official assessment in a week. That said, I have never seen anyone fit a description of a mental health, or medical health issue for that matter, more clearly. I/he have watched hours of videos, joined groups, spoken with others who are diagnosed, and it's uncanny. So please refrain from questioning that for the time being. I can follow up with an official diagnosis next week. Also, this is long, but I need to provide context for understanding the mental illness piece throughout our relationship. I added headers and a TL/DR so you can skip around if you want. Background. My husband, 38M, and I, 40F, met just over 2 years ago and fell head over heels. We are total opposites. He's a free spirit from the Midwest. I'm very type A and have a steady lifestyle. Not always. I was quite the adventurer through my 20s. I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 14 and have been medicated on off since. I've been on the same for the last 9 years, and it's worked very well for me. He was the first person who just kind of took it for what it was and respected my flare-ups/anxiety without questioning or making me feel crazy. I showed him a more posh/city lifestyle and helped him with adulting. He grew up doing things by word or a handshake. He showed up with a shit car and all his belongings fit inside. He showed me adventure and letting loose a little. I'd owned my house for 6 years, had good credit, and a great job. We got married after 5 months. We got a convertible in my name. He had no credit, 2 kittens and 3 puppies, on top of my 4 cats, started a landscaping business, got a grand piano, hot tub, and I got him tons of little I always wanted to try. Gifts. Point being, he said jump and I said let's do it. Here's some money. I felt very uncomfortable with much of this, but just saw it as stepping out of my little bubble. We both loved to go out and drink, karaoke, explore, etc. However, his drinking started getting out of control and he'd go into rages, not necessarily at me, but start freaking out, and there was no way to get him to a rational place, or even to sleep like most drunk people. I had to call the cops one morning at 4 a.m. because it was like he took hard drugs, he didn't, and was running around all out of sorts, trying to drive, and I couldn't get him to stay still, stay inside, stay quiet, sleep, or anything. Then, next morning are the apologies. We all know the drill. No excuses, but he has an incredibly traumatic childhood. So we sort of chalk these episodes up to working through those issues. Substance abuse and the decline. He stopped drinking, but switched to marijuana. I do not partake, and made it very clear I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who does. I think it's great that it's legal, no problem with others doing it. It's just not something I want in my relationships, as I've had horrible experiences in the past. I don't get why people think this is such a harmless drug. He knew this from day one, but if it meant quitting drinking, I was willing to work with him. As I warned him it would, it escalated quickly. He switched to those concentrate pins and basically mentally checked out of our relationship. Whereas we previously has S times 1 minus 3x per day most days, now it was nothing. He became very irritable, withdrawn, lazy, and accusatory. He was constantly bitching about everything. The world is against him. All he does is work. All I do is nag and take. I've been the breadwinner the entire time. I won't even get into finances, but we'll just say most people describe his behavior as parasitic. Things were awful for basically a year after he started smoking. I drank heavily to drown my depression. I asked him to help me with this, but he just complained I drank too much, then bought me booze to appease me and give himself excuse to get high. He lied constantly about how much he smoked, which he has since admitted to. Ghosting. At 1.5 years married, 2 years since we met almost to the day, we get in a fight and he leaves, which he's done many times, but always came back after a short bit or a few hours. I went to bed and woke up around 1 a.m. This is embarrassingly petty to even write, but he's always threatened to post on FB that we broke up because then it's official. So I checked FB and I'm blocked. I used another account and he's single. I wish you could see my eyes rolling and how cringy I feel right now. For 2 weeks, I try to contact him. We own a business so I can track certain things, particularly him telling clients he's leaving me because I'm a drunk. That was adorable, via email and FB. He took $3,000 that he was supposed to drop off to my dad in repayment for a loan for our work truck we just sold. He also had $2,100 that just deposited, so he left with at least $5,100. I promise this is relevant. About a week and a half after he left, his exes randomly reach out to me to tell me what a piece of shit he is. He has this crazy criminal record and a bunch of F***ed-up stuff he's done. Like, really messed up. Some of these things I've heard pieces from him, some literally don't make sense, and some freak me out as though I was with a total fraud. I don't know who this person is. The next day, I was finally able to get a note to him when a mutual friend picked up some of his stuff. He reached out, and we decided to meet. Because we'd been married almost 2 years, I had to be very careful about divorce since I've owned my house that we live in for 8. I needed to consider protecting myself from him taking half. So, I'm walking on eggshells, trying to gauge the situation and see if he wants to divorce, if I can just have him served, and basically what the F***ck is going on. He is very volatile, flighty, wants me to drive halfway across the country with him to visit his family a day and a half after we reconnect. I'm against him because I said no. Also a bad wife, the C word, all sorts of nasty things. Then, I'm his queen, and am the only one who understands him. BPD. In one of his calmer periods, we were able to talk about the back and forth name calling, and he said, maybe I'm bipolar, which I know he is not, and for some reason I just blurted out that maybe he has borderline. I didn't even know anything about it. Long story short, read first paragraph. He is basically textbook. This was a revelation. Being on mood stabilizers, I decided to let him have one of my pills, which is also used to treat BPD, not frequently, but it is. It was night and day. Also, please don't get on me about pills taking a while to become effective. The same thing happened to me when I first took it 9 years ago. It was like this peace came over me, like when you take Xanax/Ativan but not sleepy or loopy. We talked about all sorts of fights we'd had for that bad year. Money in general, him stealing my dad's Leon money which he thought he had a right to for survival. I pulled the transactions from our business account and found that he had withdrawn another $2,000 for this time period. He still claims he needed the money and cannot account for where it all went. A basic apartment costs $1,000 to $1,200 monthly here, so I'm not sure how he needed $7,000 for survival. He also apparently thought I'd been cheating for the last year, which he never mentioned. He lied about his gambling and substance abuse, apologized for being abusive and actually used that term, discussed all the accusations from the crazy exes. He agreed to sign the divorce papers, so I had them on hand if I needed to file. But I haven't. I said I'd work with him. Side note, that was my 40th birthday. So, happy birthday to me. Where we are. It's been almost 2 weeks since the end of the ghosting. He has his own place. We hang out. He stays over sometimes. He is taking meds but still throws tantrums. He knows BPD will be a lot of work and lifelong challenge. My family and friends are obviously not happy with him to say the least, but they support me. He obviously shattered my trust in so many ways, flightiness, money. I found out he's been spending thousands on fun stuff for himself while I'm paying for all our joint activities, substances, gambling. I can't help but feel he cheated with how much he's asked me if I have. I never have, and he has access to my phone and whereabouts at all times. I work from home. He swears he hasn't. I'm terrified of his blow-ups, and it's exhausting. But I married him and now we have a baseline to work from as far as getting him help. TL/DR. My husband and I were having a very rough marriage when he ghosted me for 2 weeks. I tracked him down and we have divorce papers signed to protect my assets. We live apart. He wants to stay together. I was already broken, but now an immense amount more damage has been done. I have very little trust and so much hurt and resentment. Seeking advice. I feel a sense of obligation to be there for him as long as he's trying to get help and improve. The divorce papers expire in a couple weeks, and I'm scared he'll leave again if they lapse, and I'll be screwed trying to track him down to protect my house and resolve other business issues. My friends, family, and therapists think I'm being too loyal/compassionate in putting his life first, and I will never be able to reach my potential if I stay. I don't disagree, but can't help to feel like I'm abandoning him. Even though he honestly treats me pretty shitty in general, I still see the person I fell in love with. In writing this all out, it seems quite obvious. Maybe I just need validation. Thank you for any thoughts you can share. especially if you have experience with BPD yourself or in a relationship. Smiley face.